Hello YouTube fans, here again, and I figure why not this one from Wood to Hour, Damn Good Film, that being Fess and Blood. That's right, Fess and Blood, from the director that did the Starship Troopers, Basic Instincts, my favourite, Robocop, and the list goes on. When you think of this director, Damn Good director, that being Paul Holden, the one that did just the Dud Total Retail. Dave just this one in 1985, Fist and Blood. Now, normally when it comes to old movies based on the Victorian times, warriors, princes, knights, and pretty little princesses, I'm a little bit, you know what I mean? They dramatise it, they make it look pretty. But this one, on the other hand, I like it. I like it because it really does show what this period is really like. You know, it's not as pretty as it's made out to be. The long run, the scene's got the same actors that appeared with Wood and Hour one year after, that being the Yitzer. You remember me referring the Yitzer? So it starts off in, like I say, in the olden times. It's one of them Victorian olden sort of films. And you got the princess, you know what I mean? Long old, he gets abducted by these evil night warriors for having war with the princess. It's all like a war battle thing. There's a bit of a rape scene in it. I didn't think it was needed in the film. A little bit disturbing when Wood Hour rapes the princess and a bit of a dang rape scene. Happy to say it's not like I spit on you, Dave, but it's still a bit. Is it really needed? But it's kind of funny because later on the Durr falls in love with frigging Wood Hour. But long below, they decide to keep this princess as their own. The woman who's going to have Wood Hour's baby uses the baby, sadly to say, and he sort of dumps the woman for this princess. So, long below, the princess, the knights are trying to save the beautiful princess, trying to save her. So it's not like a restful sort of film. And he just gets tattooed the prince halfway through the film and gets tortured and everything else. There's a bit in it where they turn on Wood to Hour because he's falling for the princess. There's a bit of a sexy scene where he's in a tattoos in the nud. So it's quite interesting to see Wood to Hour in this sort of film. You know, it's period, it's based on the olden times, and again, done by my favourite director, Paul Holden. So he's stuck in a wheelbarrow in this well, the spitting on him, the dossing on him, and it's always a bit of war, knights fighting one another, you know, that sort of stuff. Longbroad Woodrow gets out of it, so to say. The prince who's tied up, he gets away, and there's an epic fight scene where he's fighting with Woodrow, the prince, basically to save the princess. Um, so they knocked him down, the building's on fire, and he's trying to save the beautiful princess, trying to save her. He manages to save her, but then it's got one of them typical endings. You may have seen it in a lot of films, but in this one, I dilute it because it's one of them. Is Would Hour really that bad? The rape scene, I didn't think did the film justice because it does make you hate Wood Hour at this scene. But I get it; it's based on the olden times, and how did Paul Holden his do? He definitely shows that the olden times wasn't pretty. He didn't have princes, he didn't have knights and pretty princesses. This really does show what it was like in that era. So this is a film, even though Woodard was sort of like a duddy and he's sort of like a bad you think he's dead, right? You think he's dead. The tassels on fire and the prince gets the do. Think it's gonna be an happy ending. Long paroled. You see Woodard Hour stood in the fire, staring at him. They walk off. End of movie. But Flesh and Blood for that era, 1985, it's not a bad film. It's not a bad film. It's your Musketeer, that Fencer film. It's definitely fine when it wants to be fine, but it's not too in your face. And it definitely shows what it's like. That there's a scene in it where the princess is walking over and there's a guy that's been hung. And it's definitely do something because it's also died, been hung, he's hanging with a rope on his neck and thighs and maggots. Really looks horrible. There's a bit where the couple's doing it and the princess is ripping them with buses. I thought it was quite funny. And it's like interesting to see Wood and Howard in that sort of film because all fair said and done, I've never really seen him in a film like this before, you know, a Buccaneer sort of film. But saying that, Wolf there, apart from meeting my dog because it's barking, shut up, right, shut up, right, apart from that, it's Same there when he did this, he did another film called Lady Hawk. Lady Hawk is definitely a different type of known for again for Wooded Owl, but this one it was interesting, and I always find it funny that the princess 1 year later gets gruesomely killed by Wooded Owl in the film The It. So, but for what it is, it's like I say, it's a good hour of your time. If you don't like rape though and things like that and violence, it may not be your cup of tea, but it's not all in your face. It's like I said, it's not like I Spit on You Dave, it's like half an hour long. It's there, it's supposed to be disturbing. Paul Holden knew how to make it shocking and he did, but it's not too in your frigging face. And I do actually like the acting role by Woodard Hour. It's like, is he bad? Is he dud? It's a love scene between the princess, but you know where she's using Woodard Hour to get to her man. The man saves the day, that being the prince. And it's one of them, it's an interesting film for what it is. It's very to pets, it's very sophisticated type of film. And you can definitely see why Paul Holden, the director, sort of had a lightning after this. He definitely had a lightning for Woodard Hour because he wanted Woodard Hour after doing Flesh and Blood in a lot of these type of films. But I told us Woodard Hour didn't want to be typecasted. You know what I mean? He wanted to do other roles and not just be period roles. And let's not forget, 2 years after this, Paul Holden, when he was directing the original classic, that being Robotop, would Paul Holden wanted Woodard Hour, as a lot of people may know him by Artifice, he wanted Woodard Hour to play Robotop. Not bullshit this, he wanted him to play Robotop. Now I think at the time he couldn't fit into the suit and he felt uncomfortable tying the suit on. So he decided to contain the role of Robotop. But even though I like Peter Weller, and don't get me wrong, big fan of Peter Weller, it would have been interesting to see what it would have been like had Woodard Hour would have took the role as Robotop. Sad to say, we'll never know. Be a lot better than a fucking remake. But nevertheless, I think Flesh and Blood for what it is, like I say, I always remember the art cover and all the art covers in it is brilliant. Sadly to say, I've only got sort of a copy of the film, and sadly to say, you know, I've got it on an hard drive, and sadly to say, I haven't got the cover. But if I could ever show you the cover of Flesh and Blood, it definitely sells the film. It definitely sells the film because in my eyes, Flesh and Blood is a good film. It's a good performance by Woodard Hour. It's a good performance. I mean, I remember the princess being Attis, very funny name. But it's not a bad hour of his time. You know, I wouldn't say it's an offensive film, but there's bits where it feels offensive, but there's bits where it really does show what that period is like. It's not glamorous, it's not beautiful. That era probably was like that, with women are getting raped and people getting cut up. There's bits in it where I wish it was a bit more graphic. That's not me being bloodthirsty, but I just felt it, for a Paul Holden film, it would have given it that impact. But you can definitely see after this how the director, Paul Holden, did great classics like, let's say, like Robotop, Starship Troopers, Total Recall, Basic Instincts. The list goes on. You can definitely see how. And you can definitely see how Paul Holden saw a good performance by Woodard Hour. So yeah, Flesh and Blood for my mate Woodard Hour, may he rest. Into then, I'll see you soon for some more movies and some more movie reviews.